everybody, this is Palace of Forest. I'm Old June. Today we are going to talk a big subject, Africa. When people mention Africa, they often think of a place teeming with diseases like the Black Death, malaria, Ebola virus, so on and so forth. Combined with the famines and wars, it seems like a land of desolation and hardship. But is that really the case? First, Africa is the second largest continent capable of accommodating China, the United States, India, Japan, and most of Europe. The largest country in Africa is Algeria, in North Africa, which is the 10th largest country in the world, with 90% of its land being desert. Its defense budget is the largest in Africa. However, since the 17th century, the continent has been divided up by England, France, Italy, Germany, Belgium, Spain, and Portugal, effectively dismantling this giant landmass. For example, tiny Belgium managed to annex the much larger Belgian Congo. Remember feeling indignant about this division of Africa when I studied geography as a child. Why was this division of Africa seen as so natural? Some reasons include racial and cultural discrimination, media manipulation, low cost of occupations, according to a historian, John Darwin. According to the United Nations, Africa is divided into 5 regions: North, Central, Southern, East, and West Africa. Geographically, it is categorized into Sahara Desert region, Desert Grassland Isolation Zone, Ethiopia Highland region, Grassland region, Swahili Coast region, Rainforest region, Africa Great Lakes region, Southern Africa region. Another term worth explaining is the Horn of Africa region, which includes Djibouti, Ethiopia, Somalia, and Eritrea. Its shape resembles a horn, and it is near the entrance of the Red Sea by the Gulf of Aden. Countries like China, United States, France, Japan, Italy, Germany, Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the United Arab Emirates, UAE, all has anti-pirate navy forces stationed in Djibouti. North Africa has long been busy with interactions with the Western world. Countries like Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco have played significant roles in modern history. South of Sahara, previously known as Dark Africa, was primarily the domain of explorers, but eventually fell prey to the voracious appetite of European powers, leading to the division of this vast land. According to UN records, since the wave of independence post-1960, Africa has 54 independent countries. Yet, post-independence, Africa faces another kind of disaster, which will be explained later. Africa is rich in resources, with world-class reserves of gold, more than 40%, chromium, 90%, platinum, more than 90%, and a large amount of cobalt, uranium, diamond, arable land, more than 65%, oil, more than 7.5%, and the world fresh water, more than 10% resources. It's no wonder that the global powers remain unwilling to let go of this region. The United States has over 750 military bases worldwide, with about 34 military deployments in Africa, including 3 brigades and 1 battalion. A brigade has more than 3,000 to 5,000 soldiers. A battalion has about 1,000 soldiers. France, a former imperial power, has about 30 military deployments, and though its influence is smaller and smaller. Last year, in 2023, there was unrest in Central Africa, including Mali, Niger, Chad, Sudan, and South Sudan, reportedly linked to the Wagner Group alleged mining there. During the Mali unrest, French President Macron was furious, and the U.S. sent special forces to assist. However, ultimately, the situation might still be not so sure. Russia aimed to drive France out of Africa. The per capita income in these regions, Mali, Niger, Chad, Sudan, and South Sudan, does not exceed US $1,000 per year, which is alarming. South Sudan, which is split from Sudan in 2011, is the newest independent country in Africa, but remains plagued by constant conflicts displacing its people. Since Africa began its awakening in 1960s, seeking independence, the continent quickly grew to 54 nations. Over 70 years, the situation remains far from ideal. Why? Number one, lack of modern governmental and political concepts. In emerging countries, local chieftains, tribes, still hold significant power, and no development can proceed without their approval. Number two, foreign powers remain in the dominant force behind the scene due to Africa's rich resources. Number three, military coups and political instabilities are frequent. Since 1950s, there have been 492 coups worldwide, successful or unsuccessful, with 220 in Africa, nearly half of the global total. Number four, government corruption and inactions. Reports often claim the most luxurious apartments in Paris are owned by African leaders, while the people struggle for basic needs. Number five, if the educational system in Africa could be greatly improved, progress would be within reach. Countries like Egypt, Seychelles, Mauritius, Tunisia, South Africa, Nigeria, Botswana, and Kenya are noted for their better education systems. Governments must invest in education, improving standards significantly over the next 30 to 50 years to lift Africa out of the current status. The disparity between the rural and the urban area is also significant. Take Sudan as an example, which ranks first in Africa for coups. 18 of the 6 were successful. It split into Sudan and South Sudan in 2011. South Sudan has oil primarily exported to China, but ongoing conflicts keep these people in constant turmoil. It can clear why the former imperial powers, after so long in Africa, have not helped it stand on its own. Or perhaps they did try, but Africa couldn't rise on its own. In the past 20 years, China has entered Africa, helped to build roads, railroads, and ports, all hard work with significant risk due to the political instability. Resource-rich countries often use minerals to offset debt, but the unstable political situation poses a huge risk. Zambia, Africa's largest copper producer, has service-level mines, which means you can find the copper right on the road. A South Africa client invited me to try my luck there about 30, 40 years ago, warning me that dealing with both the government and the tribes is necessary. Many tribes leaders, surprisingly, are Cambridge graduates, which left me both amused and dismayed. Yet, just as we were preparing to move, news came out that Chinese government had already signed a contract with the locals, forcing us to abandon our plans. The biggest competition between the US, China, and Russia in Africa is in arms sales. The US accounts for more than 40% of global arms sales, China for 5%. However, between 2017 to 2020, China's arms sales in Africa were 3 times those of the US, as China offers weapons almost like a restaurant menu. You order, we sell cheap, while the US sells at a high price with slow delivery and only certain selected items. Russia, now embroiled in the Russian-Ukraine war, can't even supply herself. The key difference between the US, China, and Russia is that in the past 20-30 years, China has built roads, railroads, airports in Africa. Despite the risk due to the political instability and the laborious work condition, often securing projects with mineral resources as collateral. Who is the richest country in Africa? Per capita income as 2024. This is estimated. The figures seems high due to inflation and estimation. Number 1 is Seychelles. Number 2, Mauritius. Number 3, Libya. Number 4, Botswana. Number 5, Gabon. Number 6, Equatorial Guinea. Number 7, Egypt. Number 8, South Africa. Number 9, Algeria. The economic prosperity of these countries is closely tied to the equality of their educational system. It is worth mentioning Nigeria, which, according to the 2022 report, is wealthy due to oil reserve, surpass Egypt and South Africa. However, its per capita income is very low, as only $2,000, likely due to the government corruption, greed among the officers, and the uneven distributions of wealth. Discussion of Africa's 2 wealthiest nations based on per capita income. Number 1 is Seychelles, an island nation in the Indian Ocean. It became independent from UK in 1976, adopted an electoral system, and joined the Commonwealth. Its economy relies on fisheries, tourism, and agriculture, attracting significant foreign investment. Number 2 is Mauritius, also an island nation in the Indian Ocean. It gained independence from UK in 1968, politically stable and no tumultuous and a reliable electoral system. It has attracted substantial foreign investment. These cases demonstrate that political stability, effective governance, and prioritized education can lead to prosperity even without oil, gold, or diamond. This is a very important lesson for leaders to remember. What do you think? We stop here. And I hope you like it, and see you next time.